Unfortunately, another day, another terrorist bombing, a horrific one in Brussels today. 31 killed, 230 injured. Horrible, horrible numbers and images. We've got pictures and video for you guys. Unfortunately, there was a bomb that went off at the airport, causing a great number of deaths and injuries, and also in the subway system. Now, it is enormously likely that this is related to the capture of Salah Abdeslam, who apparently was the person who organized the Paris attacks, where over 130 people died. He was captured in Belgium just a couple of days ago, and now this bombing in Belgium. As we watch this again and again throughout the world, it is awfully hard to take. And as you look at those, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a personal moment here. This is in a subway. Now, the people here are okay, but you're going to hear the children crying in the background. They're being rushed out as the subway is getting attacked. So just take a quick look at this video, and then I'll have more for you. Look, that's horrific, but we've got to show it to you, and I want people to understand what the real effects of this are, of course. And so that was near the Leeuw metro station, obviously Brussels airport, as Zaventem was attacked. And look, the great majority of us are on the same side here, but there are some in the world who consider taking extreme action like this. Before they take that action, I'd like them to watch that video one more time. You're really okay with babies screaming like that? You think that that's the right answer to anything? Like, what is it that the terrorists want to do here? Show the West how horrible they are? And you're going to show the West how horrible you are by what? Targeting their children? How can you not see that that makes you look at least as horrible as anything you claim to be fighting against? And again, with the suicide bombings, anyone who's asked to do a suicide bombing should always say these two words first, which is, you first. Whoever's telling you to do the suicide bombing, you should ask them to lead by example. And it's ironic because Salah Abdeslam, the guy who was captured, apparently left his suicide vest behind during the Paris attacks and did not do the suicide bombing as the other 7 did. So he got captured, he was wounded, but he's alive. Everybody else is dead, the other attackers are dead, all these civilians are dead, but the guy who seems to have organized it, still alive. Isn't that ridiculous how that works? So be wary of anyone telling you they've got a good cause, and that the most important thing is that you die for the cause, or much worse, that you kill for the cause. So we've now seen this all over across the world. We've seen it in Paris. We saw it here in the U.S., obviously. We're seeing it in Brussels today. We saw it in Ankara. We've seen it in Nigeria, in Istanbul, in Peshawar, in Beirut, let alone in Syria and Iraq, where we have untold devastation. And we go around bombing throughout the world. And when I say we, I mean humanity. So bin Laden strikes the United States on 9/11. We go to attack Afghanistan. We're still there 16 years later. To what effect, no one's quite sure, but we have dropped an untold number of bombs there. Is Afghanistan a flowing democracy that is pro-West right now? Doesn't seem so. Then we invade Iraq for no reason, and more bombing. Now, these 34 people killed, it is a tragedy of epic proportions. And as I hear that child screaming in that tunnel, it rips my heart out. Now, we need to be just as cognizant that over 100,000 civilians, by the most conservative estimate, it's about 150,000 civilians, died in Iraq. They also had children who screamed just like that. Sometimes after their family members died, sometimes right before they died. So that also happened. That did happen. You want to close your eyes to it? Okay, that's your choice. Does that excuse what happens today? Absolutely not, not even remotely. But the bombing goes round and round, round and round. Okay, then there's the bombing of Syria and there's the bombing of Libya. And then all those bombs that I talked about in Beirut and Paris and Ankara and Istanbul and Nigeria and now Brussels, they all go off and we all lose our eyes and we go around eye for an eye for an eye. And then at the end of the day, have we solved the problem? Does it look like the problem is solved? For all the people claiming that bombing is the answer, we've dropped over 20,000 bombs. And yet, we are still being bombed. Turns out that this strategy is not that great a strategy. Now, here's what I want. I don't want to see any more scenes like this. Aren't we sick of scenes like this? And what has the bombing gotten us? It has gotten us more bombing. So that makes you angry today, and you're looking to gouge someone's eye out, and you're looking to, oh yeah, we got to strike them and we got to bomb them even harder. Okay, go ahead and do it, but it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. This is the result. Now, is it our fault? No. Except for the fact that it is our fault as human beings, in humanity, because we think the answer is, I see a nail, somebody give me a hammer, right? The fundamentalists on the Muslim side that did this are wholly responsible for this. And what their actions are grotesque. And when our fundamentalists, our right-wingers go, let's go bomb them, understand that it doesn't work. Maybe it makes you feel better on a day like today. Because when I see those pictures, I want vengeance too. I'm also human, right? So what I'm asking you to do, not even to appeal to your better angels, because I get why people say today is not that day, right? I'm asking you to do something that isn't counterproductive, because we've tried the bombing. And what has it gotten us? A strategy that has failed miserably. Look at what the status of Iraq, does that look like it's a wonderful democracy now? The status of Afghanistan, the status of Syria. We dropped all those bombs. And what happened? If it was grotesque and it was immoral and we killed their civilians, but it worked, that would be one thing. I'm not sure I'd be in favor of that, but it would be a different thing than what we have now. Instead, we have dropped all those bombs and it didn't work. So now you're going to hear all over television, not all the politicians, but a lot of the politicians and a lot of the media come out and say, well, the answer is obvious, more bombing. That is the most counterfactual position there is. We must find the people who did this. I'm not saying that we go in there with flowers and rainbows. Hell no. Some say, oh, well, if we didn't capture Abdul Salam, maybe this wouldn't have happened. No, that's not how it works. We go get the guys who did it, okay? Of course we capture that guy, and of course we should be getting information out of him in the best practices we have. Not best as in most moral, that would be great, but best as in most productive, okay? The ones that we know work. So, getting the information out of him. We should find the people who did this. If any of them are still alive, target them. I think we should use special forces a lot more than we do throughout the world. But then we also have to have a long-term strategy, because our current long-term strategy is miserable and has gotten us these results. That's the reality.